Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining MidPenn Legal Services Access to Justice event. My name is Mike Pykosh. I'm the chairman of the board of directors for MidPenn Legal Services, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you all here this morning. As you know, MidPenn is the largest organization in central Pennsylvania that provides free legal representation in civil cases, serving more than 21,000 low-income residents and survivors of violence annually. MidPenn handles critical matters, including protection from domestic violence, emergency child custody cases, housing issues, and elder law matters, just to name a few. The need for these services continues to grow, especially now. Since last year, MidPenn has adapted to the changes of the COVID-19 pandemic and continues to provide excellent legal services to its clients. Of course, as you could imagine, as the need for MidPenn services continues to grow, so does the need for more resources. Resources such as funding, pro bono lawyers, partners, and supporters. And with that in mind, today we are recognizing our local justice heroes, volunteer attorneys, partner law firms who dedicate their daily work to improve the lives of our clients and the communities that we live and work in through the provision of impactful legal services. I have the honor this morning to introduce our guest speaker. Our guest today is the Honorable Carolyn H. Nichols, Judge of the Pennsylvania Superior Court. Judge Nichols was elected to a 10-year term of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court in 2017. As a judge of the Superior Court, she conducts appellate review of criminal, civil, family, and orphan court cases. Previously, she was elected to the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia in 2011. There, she conducted felony jury trials in criminal court with the aim for equal justice, protecting the rights of crime victims and the accused. She supports activities promoting positive reentry to prevent recidivism and participates in community relations initiatives of the Southwest Police Division, including Turn a New Corner to assist returning citizens gain employment, and Blades, Fades, and Engage, a town hall style dialogue in neighborhood barbershops with the local community and law enforcement. In 2019, Judge Nichols co-founded the Southwest Division Youth Advisory Committee to facilitate positive activities for our youth to move their lives forward with confidence and purpose. In 2020, during the pandemic, Judge Nichols participated in food and clothing distribution and neighborhood cleanup activities with grassroots organizations, including Unity in the Community and Ahari. Judge Nichols attended the Philadelphia Public Schools. She received a Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree from Temple University and graduated from Temple University Law School with a Juris Doctorate and Master's in Law degree in Trial Advocacy. Additionally, Judge Nichols obtained a Master's in Business Administration degree from Eastern University. Judge Nichols' professional career spans over 20 years of public service, including being the legislative assistant to the former Philadelphia Councilwoman Augusta Clark, She was also Assistant City Solicitor and Deputy Secretary for External Affairs for the Mayor's Office. In that position, she managed the city's federal issues, including appropriations and legislative advocacy. As City Deputy Finance Director, she managed the Minority Business Enterprise Council, and that organization ensured that women and minority-owned businesses received fair inclusion and participation in city contracts. She maintained a solo civil litigation law practice before being elected to the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia. Rutgers Law School Black Law Student Association honored Judge Nichols with the Dr. Martin Luther King Champion of Social Justice and Equity Award in 2019. And in 2018, she received the NBA Judicial Council Clifford Scott Green Chapter's Pinnacle Award for her service to the Court of Common Pleas, and also that year was the inaugural recipient of the Judge Carolyn H. Nichols Drum Major for Justice Award, instituted by State Representative Marco Davidson. Philadelphia City Council honored Judge Nichols in 2014 for receiving the City Office of Economic Opportunities Guardian of Economic Inclusion Award for her service as the Director of the Minority Business Enterprise Council. Judge Nichols has received recognition for her community service, including induction in the Overbrook High School Hall of Fame. And in 2007 and 2008, Judge Nichols was honored by the Philadelphia Tribune as one of the most influential African Americans in the city of Philadelphia. In 2019, Governor Tom Wolf appointed Judge Nichols to the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, which provides leadership to improve justice systems, assist crimes victims, and helps make communities safer and more livable. And she is serving on the Adult Racial and Ethnic Disparities Subcommittee. In addition, Judge Nichols joined the Criminal Justice Committee of the Pennsylvania Interbranch Commission for Gender, Racial, and Ethnic Fairness. And that organization is charged with to identify and help eliminate disparities and establish fairness and equality in the Pennsylvania courts. She's active in mentoring and peace building programs in public schools to prevent violence and to stop the school to prison pipeline with groups including the NAACP, Philadelphia School District, Black Male Educators, Muslims for Humanity, and the Pennsylvania Bar Association. Judge Nichols promotes inclusion and dialogue with groups such as the Truman Project to promote international understanding, the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, and Nucor to generate dialogue and understanding about culture, race, and ethnicity. Judge Nichols initiated a dialogue group with African American and Jewish professional women with the American Jewish Committee. She's a member of the Philadelphia Education Fund, Education First Compact, which aims to improve public education in local schools. Undoubtedly, Judge Nichols is committed to diversity, inclusion, and equity, and the transformation of the legal profession and the court system to make equal justice for all a reality. And to move justice forward, she's a member of the Montgomery County Bar Association and its Diversity Committee, the Pennsylvania Bar Association and its Minority Bar Committee, the Philadelphia Bar Association and its Diversity Advisory Panel. And additionally, Judge Nichols is a member of the Judicial Council and the International Association of Women Judges. She conducts CLE and CJE programs and has traveled internationally extensively to participate in cultural exchanges and dialogue with judges concerning constitutional and judicial reform. And it's my great pleasure to present to you today Judge Carolyn H. Nichols.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such a thorough introduction. Thank you so much. I want to thank Rhodia and MidPenn for inviting me to speak this morning so bright and early to celebrate access to justice and to honor the heroes who volunteer and support MidPenn and its important work to provide quality, free legal services in civil matters to low-income residents and survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault and other matters in 18 counties in central Pennsylvania. Just an incredible length and breadth of work, and I am certainly honored to be here with all of you this morning. Access to justice, to civil court matters are at the very heart of our everyday life. These issues include family laws, such as child custody, dependency, domestic relations, domestic violence, as we heard in the introduction, and PFAs and housing, things like landlord-tenant, foreclosures, evictions, consumer debt, and fair debt collection practices, and elder law to protect our elders, some of the most vulnerable citizens that many times are forgotten and pushed aside. We all know that change is needed and that state courts cannot simply rely on the same old comfortable methods of the past to make justice a reality for the thousands and thousands of civil litigants seeking justice in our courts. Recently, I reviewed a report from the National Center for State Courts that does extensive study and best practices for court systems around the country. And they prepared a report called Call to Action, Achieving Justice for All. And there are many recommendations, of course, which of course we don't have time in my brief remarks to go into this morning, but you might want to check it out at nsc.org/civil. It's quite a comprehensive report that talks about positive actions that the courts need to take to make civil justice a reality. But in the report, what caught my attention was actually a 1958 quote from U.S. Supreme Court Justice, before he became, I assume, Chief Justice, William J. Brennan Jr., and he was talking about change, and it's right on point today. And he says, we like comfortable old shoes, out of style and worn through as they may be, and dread having a new pair. None of us like to learn new ways of doing things, but the convulsive change in society confronts our profession with the urgent challenge to get our house in order if we are to renew the public's confidence in the American justice system that safeguards and protects individual rights and liberties. So it's easy to be in the old shoes, but we got to get out of the old shoes and get into new ones and break them in if we're really going to push positive change that's desperately needed in our civil justice system. The NCSC report, of course, discusses recommendations for change that all of us get on this call, including the need to reduce court delays, because we know that justice delayed is justice denied. The challenge is to improve access to justice within the constraining budgets and under current procedures, including the utilization of remote audio and video access for litigants. For example, in my court, in Superior Court, all of our arguments, our 3-judge panels, as well as our en banc arguments, have all been remote for the past year. We're going into our second year of having video arguments. And it's challenging to make sure that all litigants have fair access to be able to argue remotely. We have pro se litigants. So we have to make sure that everything is fair so that these litigants, regardless of who they are and regardless of their resources, get a fair opportunity to argue before our court. all of us, bench and bar, we need to control the expense and time demands of civil litigation. But what struck me most in the report as most important, as the central key in my assessment to move civil justice forward, is for bench and bar leaders to recognize that there's a problem in the first place. If we don't see that we need to change, we're not going to do anything. So we need to recognize the challenges in the first place and own it. That all of us need to step up and to move these issues forward. Without that understanding that we need change in the civil justice system, we can't move anything forward. Because civil justice reform is a all hands on deck challenge for all branches of government and the private and nonprofit sectors and stakeholders outside of government. The courts can't do it alone. We just can't do it alone. We can't change and implement the sweeping civil justice reform that we need alone. The courts just can't do it. We wish we could, but we can't. We must all work together to ensure that, as was mentioned in the introduction, that legal aid is adequately funded and available to all those who need it, and that the civil justice system reflects cultural competency, honoring diverse cultures and norms, and that procedural justice becomes a reality in our courts at all levels of the justice system. That we treat, and procedural justice means that we treat all court participants with dignity, respect, and humanity, regardless of their race, nationality, gender identity, sexual preference, income, age, or educational level. And then secondly, we give people the opportunity and voice to be heard, because as a judge, giving litigants the right to be heard is central to showing respect. How many of you lawyers, you don't have to raise your hand, have been over-talked in court, by judges? We don't, we're not going to call anybody out to raise your hand, but I know that you've had that experience. I certainly had that experience as a lawyer, and nothing is more disrespectful and discouraging than being talked over and not being given the chance to make your case. A court should render transparent decisions that can be clearly understood. Because people lose confidence in the justice system, whether they're lawyers or litigants, if they can't understand what the decision is. So many times I sit in the court and as a judge, specifically when I was a trial judge in Philadelphia, and it's clear, litigant doesn't understand what happened. So I take the time to explain, well, this is what this is, if it's suppression hearing, this is what's, walk them through, and whatever the ruling is, they may not be happy, but they understood. They understood. Now, they may take the next step and do what they need to do, appeal or whatever, but they understand what happened. It's been explained to them respectfully and clearly, and they had their opportunity to be fully heard. I remember sitting as a trial judge, litigants would say, well, I may not like the outcome, but I was heard, I was listened to, I was respected. I was called Mr. or Miss, not called by a first name or any kind of disrespectful activity from a judge that unfortunately we've seen. And all litigants and all participants in the court have the right to expect that all judges are neutral, unbiased, and independent. There's nothing more discouraging for a litigant to come in and feel there's some kind of hookup going on, and they're not going to have any, it's not fair, because there's some kind of connection or some kind of relationship with the judge and a litigant or the lawyer, the opposing counsel, that they're not part of that clique or that club. This is not a clique or a club. The courts belong to the people. I work for the people of Pennsylvania. I was elected by the people of Pennsylvania. And there was a recent CLE program, I think by Third Circuit judge, that the president is politicians are not the boss of the judges. That the people, these courts are for the people, and there's no kind of invisible hand directing the judiciary. Every litigant and every participant in court has a right to expect that. These changes and these goals or these ideals will require stepping out of our comfortable old shoes, everybody, as Justice Brennan said, to confront the urgent challenges to get our house in order, to enable our civil courts to safeguard and protect our individual rights and liberties by ensuring equal and fair justice for all, which is what the courts are all about, whether it's civil court or criminal court. So I'm going to end my remarks there and thank all of you for taking the time to listen to me so early in the morning. And thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you, Judge Nichols, and good morning, everyone. And Judge Nichols, thank you so much for joining us, as you said, at this early hour and for your inspiring remarks. We really are grateful that you were able to join us today. And I look forward to seeing you next month at the PBA Minority Bar Conference, when you are honored by receiving another award, the A. Leon Higginbotham Lifetime Achievement Award. So I look forward to hearing your remarks there. And as a small token of our appreciation for joining us today, we are pleased to present you with this gift on the screen. I will see that it gets to you. And we really do thank you for your support of access to justice and for your remarks that you have made about how we need to get out of the old shoes and start thinking about how we can get a new pair. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. And to start today's program, I have the privilege and the honor of presenting the MidPenn Pro Bono Award to one of MidPenn's greatest supporters and champions, Don Smith. I've known Don since 2003 when he served on the MidPenn board, representing the Berks County Bar Association when he was working at a private firm in Reading. Don served for 14 years on the MidPenn board, holding the positions of not only board member, but treasurer, president-elect, and board chair. So then Don retires from the law firm and goes into his second career of being the executive director of the Berks County Bar Association. And in that role, Don continues to support MidPenn by ensuring that MidPenn receives financial support from the bar, while working to open doors for MidPenn to receive financial support from other organizations, including the Berks County United Way. If that was not enough, Don retired for the second time, and he began to volunteer in the MidPenn Reading office handling landlord-tenant cases. Don's interest in handling landlord-tenant cases grew after he read the book Evicted by Matthew Desmond. And in fact, every time I'd run into him, he would be talking about this book that he had read. In 2020, when the pandemic began and all of us were asked to shelter in place, early on, Don recognized that the unprecedented job loss caused by the pandemic was making it difficult, if not impossible, for low-income people who were trying to maintain their housing. With the goal of trying to help residents maintain their housing, he worked with other service providers in Berks County to start an eviction prevention program. This program provided both pro bono and rental assistance to tenants who were facing eviction. Because of the success of Don's work on this project, the Berks United Way recently granted additional funding to MidPenn to expand the project in Berks County. When Don was notified that he was going to receive this recognition from MidPenn, he jokingly said he needed no more recognition, given that he had recently received a PBA Goffman Award for his work in starting this project. What Don did not know was that while this inaugural award, MidPenn Pro Bono Award, will go to him, however, going forward in recognition of Don's many years of support, the award will be renamed the MidPenn Donald F. Smith Jr. Pro Bono Award. So Don, thank you for all you have done and continue to do on behalf of MidPenn. It is now my great pleasure to turn the stage, or rather the screen, over to Don Smith.
Well, I'm a bit speechless. Thank you so much, Rhodia. I certainly appreciate your kind words, and I appreciate this recognition and the fact that it will be ongoing, totally unmerited. Several thank yous are in order. And first, just as Rhodia has indicated, I owe thanks to Matthew Desmond, whose 2016 book, Evicted: Poverty and Profit in the American City, inspired me to spend part of my retirement helping tenants facing eviction. Secondly, I want to thank the Montgomery County's Eviction Prevention and Intervention Coalition for devising the model program that I copied. And third, to MidPenn's advocates and administrators, to Amy Good, Reading Managing Attorney in 2018, and Rhodia and Carrie, for allowing me to have my own office in MidPenn's luxurious Reading suite, to have a key to that suite, and even my own business cards, which numbered 100, and I saw as a commitment to a longer term than I thought I was going to have at MidPenn. To Matt Rich and Roberta Fields for teaching me landlord-tenant law I knew nothing about before 2019, and providing forms as well as proofreading my early work. To Ryan Cummins and Susan Mahalik for help with forms and legal research. And to Miriam Matash for tolerating my ignorance when it comes to the photocopy machine and for providing flawless translation. And to Katie Wenzel and Jamie Van Wagdentonk, who have covered for me when I cannot make MDJ Tanya Butler's landlord-tenant court sessions. To Judge Butler, I owe a ton of thanks for agreeing to participate in our project, and to Kim Talbot of the City of Reading for coordinating the rental assistance application process for tenants. Without those two, our project would never have achieved the success it has for the past year. But to be honest, the project would never, ever have gotten off the ground without Karen Reitmeyer, president of the Why I'm Missing Foundation, who, after hearing my impassioned presentation on the Desmond book at a meeting, convinced me to join the Northeast Reading Youth Development Task Force, who was concerned with unstable housing, causing an incredible turnover of the student population among Reading schools. A teacher would start in September with 30 students, and by June, she or he had 30 different students. The task force latched on to my idea of an eviction prevention project copying Montgomery County's and have provided moral support. And that is how our project ended up in Northeast Reading, Judge Butler's jurisdiction. And then, as Rhodia has indicated, the success of our program with Judge Butler has resulted in the Berks County United Way recently approving a grant to MidPenn to allow for the hiring of an attorney and a navigator to expand the eviction prevention project to other Reading magisterial districts. And now the Why I'm Missing Foundation has provided funding to pay for budget counseling for tenants referred by Judge Butler, a need we came to appreciate in order to prevent evictions post-moratorium. The counseling is to be provided by a local agency, Neighborhood Housing Services. Karen Reitmeyer, a true community leader, has made all of this possible, and I give my thanks, deep thanks, to Karen. As we all know, helping the low-income client requires more than legal representation. It takes a holistic approach. It takes a community. I am most proud of how our eviction prevention project has engaged the community to meet a community need. I appreciate receiving your pro bono award, Rhodia and everyone, but the accolades go out to the many who have made important contributions, and without them, I and the tenants we help would achieve nothing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you, to everyone.
Congratulations, Don, and thank you, Judge, for appearing today. It is my privilege to present the law firm of McNees Wallace Nurick with the MidPenn 2021 Law Firm Pro Bono Award for the firm's longstanding and ongoing commitment to pro bono services. McNees Wallace Nurick has long been a supporter of the delivery of free legal services to the most vulnerable members of our communities, which has earned the firm the reputation of a champion of justice for all. McNees Wallace Nurick staff have donated countless hours to support MidPenn's mission of providing high-quality civil legal services to low-income residents. It is not, however, merely the act of volunteering that is commendable. It is the devotion to seeing projects through to completion and the spirit with which staff approach undertakings, which is inspiring. This approach is best exemplified by Jim D'Angelo, who has been a longtime MidPenn board member and has served in just about every conceivable leadership position offered to a board member, including the current president-elect. In addition to serving on our board, behind the scenes, Jim generously offers his time to support our ventures. If we have a concern about how a department is handling a certain policy, we review it with Jim to assess the best course of action to resolve the challenge. If we are interested in presenting to the court a proposed new program, Jim hears about it first. We do this not out of obligation, but because we respect Jim's thoughtful regard for the topic at hand. Jim, however, is not alone. In 2019, firm member Rachel Hadrick earned a PBA Pro Bono Award. And in 2011, member Candace Hull was also awarded the Dauphin County Bar Association Pro Bono Award. In addition, Candace has conducted trainings for MidPenn staff on appellate practice and is always finding new ways to expand the firm's pro bono participation. The firm's support staff and paralegals have also served a crucial role in expanding our ability to assist our clients. In the community, McNees Wallace Nurick partners with many different initiatives aimed at improving our communities. Last year, early in the pandemic, Chair Brian Jackson announced the firm's commitment to provide pro bono services to struggling small businesses and nonprofit organizations. The firm's staff is also heavily involved in Dauphin County Bar Association's multiple pro bono programs. It is for these reasons and more that MidPenn bestows upon the firm of McNees Wallace Nurick the 2021 MidPenn Law Firm Award.
Jim, are you going to speak?
I am. I'm making sure that I'm unmuted. I have multiple screens running here and don't want to fumble too much. Well, good morning, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Jim D'Angelo. I'm a partner at McNees Wallace Nurick, and I'm currently president-elect of MidPenn Legal Services. All the partners and employees of McNees Wallace Nurick are honored and humbled by this recognition. We greatly appreciate the award. And Nick, thank you for your kind remarks and recognition of the efforts of the firm and all of my partners and colleagues there. At McNees, we recognize the importance of civil legal aid. We at McNees will many times say that we are a helping profession, and we want to help as many people as possible. We do our pro bono work but we recognize that we lack the expertise to help clients with many poverty law issues. We know this, and we're self-aware. We also know that by partnering with the skilled professionals at MidPenn, we can help many more people. Nothing is more powerful in combating poverty than a legal aid advocate. During my 29 years at McNees, we've enjoyed a wonderfully successful relationship with MidPenn. We're very proud of that relationship. And it is so important to McNees. At McNees, we will many times say that a particular partner or an associate or a legal assistant is part of the fabric of the firm. And we consider MidPenn to be part of the fabric of McNees Wallace Nurick. And we want that relationship to go on for many, many years into the future. And we believe the future is brighter than the past. Our management has increased its commitment to professional service. That includes pro bono service and service to the many community organizations that we support. And our newer professionals are stepping up to ensure that our support of MidPenn will continue for many years to come. I'm lucky, I'm very proud to have been associated with two great law firms during my career, McNees Wallace Nurick and MidPenn Legal Services. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate the recognition and the award, and wish MidPenn all the best for many, many years to come.
Thank you, Jim, very much for your remarks.
You're welcome.
And our next award is a volunteer award, and I'll ask Matt Rich, staff attorney in Harrisburg office, to present this award to our honoree.
Thank you, Rhodia. And again, congratulations to McNees and to Don. I can't say enough, Don, of having the opportunity to work with you the past few years. It's been a great pleasure. And thank you, Judge Nichols, for your opening remarks. This morning, I have the distinct pleasure and honor of being able to introduce to you all the recipient of our volunteer award, Kay Pickering. Catherine Kay Pickering, Kay to all of us, is a native of Glenside, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. She was raised as a member of the Religious Society of Friends. Those are followers of William Penn, to whom many of us refer to as the Quakers. After she completed grade school, she attended Earlham College in Richmond, Indiana, where she earned a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Her background is in nursing, and her time in college and through the nursing program there, along with her faith, provided a great foundation for a lot of her work in the area of healthcare, and beyond that, in helping members in any community in which she has ever resided. While at Earlham, she met her husband, Bill. Bill is also a native of Pennsylvania, and after earning her degree and moving back to Pennsylvania with Bill, she indicated that she quickly earned her PhD degree, which for those of you who might not be aware of that, as I was not until I spoke with her about this, PhD stands for putting hubby through, as I was told. And she did that as Bill was furthering his education here. Kay then came to the Harrisburg area in 1961 as Bill took a job at PennDOT. She and Bill have been residents of Harrisburg ever since, which I don't do math terribly well, but I think that is 50 years now. She has been a resident of the Harrisburg area with Bill. She made sure to note that during those last 50 years, Bill has returned the favor to her by providing tremendous support to all of her efforts in the community throughout all of these years. Kay began her professional career in our community working with a local visiting nurses program. She quickly joined the Harrisburg Friends Meeting, which is the local chapter of Quakers here in the area, and was one of the founders of the Harrisburg Center for Peace and Justice in 1965. Initially, the center concentrated on war and peace issues, but their focus has morphed over the years into more generally helping individuals, particularly those most in need in the community as they deal with localized issues. In addition to her work with the center, Kay was also part of a group of consultants who worked with the Harrisburg City School District regarding their efforts to meet the mandate at that time that the school desegregate. I think we oftentimes, I know I'm guilty of this as well, we lose sight of the fact that desegregation really was not that long ago. And Kay reminding me of that was tremendous. Kay then took a hiatus from her career to give birth to and raise her 3 wonderful children. Her children have since made her a grandmother 5 times over. Her family vacations are quite busy. When she returned to her career several years later, she then worked for numerous companies and agencies throughout the area, too many to name, she told me, doing contract work as a consultant. Her work during that time resulted in her garnering many relationships with community organizations, community leaders, and members of the community. In addition to her consulting work, Kay also helped to organize the Harrisburg Fair Housing Council in the early to mid-1970s, 3 Mile Island Alert in the mid-1970s, and Neighborhood Dispute Settlement Services, a mediation services program, in the late 70s, all the while continuing her work with the Center for Peace and Justice. In the late 70s, she transitioned to working primarily with the center, which, outside of a president and a vice president and a few support staff members over the years, is mostly Kay. I frequently tell folks that the Center for Peace and Justice is Kay, and Kay is the center. The center has a mailing list of roughly 80 people or members or donors. Kay's daily activities can best be described as she told me, quote, meeting people in the community wherever and whenever they have a need to be met. These activities include any one of the following: providing housing counseling, where she has frequently encountered MidPenn Legal Services over the last roughly 30 to 40 years. Unfortunately for her, prior to me having to deal with my predecessor, Steve Crone, and then for the last 15 years, for better or worse, having been stuck dealing with me here at MidPenn Legal Services. In addition to housing counseling, she also provides transportation for consumers to almost every corner of the community. She's attending doctor's appointments and mental health evaluations with consumers. She's assisting with banking issues. In particular, at any given time, she serves as a representative payee at no cost for roughly 10 to 12 consumers. She frequents PennDOT for driver's license issues, Social Security for benefits issues, vital records, trying to track down birth certificates and other vital records for individuals, the courthouse, filing appeals of magisterial district judge decisions. You name the agency and the office, Kay has likely been there at least once throughout her career. In addition to providing assistance with resource coordination, Kay's long been known to have the ability to provide financial support, even out of her own pocket in many instances, to certain consumers in times of their most desperate need. It's worth noting that all of her good deeds are made possible by contributions having been made to the Harrisburg Center for Peace and Justice and/or Harrisburg Friends meeting. In preparation for my introduction this morning, I spoke with my predecessor, the aforementioned Steve Crone. For those of you who are familiar with Steve, you'll probably take these comments in the manner in which they are meant to be taken, I suppose. Although he's been, as he called it, out of the game for quite some time now, he did relay the following, and these are quotes from Steve. Steve mentioned that Kay is the conscience of the community. Her job, as best as he could ever tell, was to remind everyone in the community, especially those who are assisting low-income individuals, what it is to assist individuals who are, say, not your average neighbor. She specializes in keeping service providers humbled. Her insistence and prodding of agencies is absolutely necessary to ensure that those agencies, such as MidPenn Legal Services, provide the appropriate assistance to those most in need. She was often a pain in the you-know-what, as Steve said, but also always with the best of intentions and always in a most necessary way. She is a genuine Christian soldier who quite literally puts her money where her mouth is in the name of assisting individuals who need it the most. She's able to and willing to operate in the depths of the community where many agencies simply cannot or will not go. She cannot be provided enough praise for the work that she's done for this community for the decades which her good deeds have spanned. I can say for my part, I can only really add to Steve's remarks that in the 15 years of my career here, I quickly learned of Kay's work in the community when I first started and in support of her efforts here at MidPenn Legal Services. And to this day, Kay never ceases to amaze me with her willingness and her ability to help so many vulnerable individuals, even many of those whom we might consider to be beyond saving. I can also think of no better way to summarize this than to let you all know that I frequently describe Kay to others as the Mother Teresa of Harrisburg. I ask you all to please welcome me in congratulating and applauding our recipient of the Volunteer Award, Kay Pickering.
So this is the time when I say thank you so much for those remarks, Matt. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you so much for being there, MidPenn, all these years and being a partner. That's what I look at it as a partner in the work that I do. And I appreciate being a partner in the work that you do. I'm honored to work with Legal Services and helping to meet the needs of people in central Pennsylvania. I'm a full-time volunteer, so I set my schedule. And mostly I'm in my office in the afternoons. I really, I'm out in the community. I've cut back a little during COVID as far as walk-ins, just like your office. My door is locked, but trying to meet the needs of as many people as possible. And I have to say that my church, Harrisburg Friends Meeting, is so supportive of what I do. In their budget, their annual budget, which is small, we're a small group, they set aside money and have set up years ago a community service fund, which I can use then to help individuals who are in immediate crisis, whether it's electric, gas, water shut off. I have access to funds, or whether it's a landlord related issue, especially so many people have turned to, especially individuals or couples, renting rooms because of the lack of housing. There's so many barriers these days to people having their own space. And so I am really appreciate and am lucky to have the support and have access to financial means to help people with immediate needs. Yesterday afternoon, a woman whose electric would have been shut off today, I was able to, just by calling PP&L and making a payment of $193, stop her shut off. And so I'm unique in that ability to make decisions on the spot and to follow through on those decisions. It's you know, quite powerful to be able to relieve an individual that they won't have their utilities shut off, or they'll be able to have a room for the next week or two. The work we do has many daily challenges, and I appreciate the shared attitude of searching for ways to surmount barriers in order to support our shared goals and our shared clients. And so thank you so much for this honor. And I look forward to continued working with the staff and attorneys at MidPenn Legal Services.
Thank you, Kay, for all you do. I want to congratulate all the award recipients today, and thank Judge Nichols for joining us today. I think that publicly recognizing pro bono services helps raise professional awareness about the vital role that volunteers and pro bono plays in ensuring equal access to justice. Equal access to justice to those of low income, individuals, families, persons with disabilities, the homeless, veterans with legal needs. I think this event reminds the public that members of our profession continue to be actively engaged and committed to help the less fortunate in our communities. And I want to thank you all for joining us today and supporting MidPenn Legal Services and supporting MidPenn Legal Services efforts to provide equal access to justice for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. And as we conclude, I think all of us knew that while we had hoped to hold this event in person, unfortunately, we were unable to do that. And so we pivoted to this virtual format. But virtual or not, I'm glad we had the opportunity, albeit through technology, to hear inspiring remarks from Judge Nichols, who reminded us about shoes, which I tend to love, and maybe I need to get a few new pairs and get out of the old ones. And while honoring some of our many friends and supporters, including Don Smith, the law firm of McNees Wallace Nurick, and our longtime friend and volunteer, Kay Pickering. And of course, many thanks to our premier sponsor, Highmark. And as we conclude today's event, we look forward, fingers crossed, to seeing everyone in person next year, where we hope to feed you. We couldn't do that this year, of course. And as we again honor and thank some of our new friends and supporters. Thank you all for attending and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.